very thrilled to be interviewing this man for the first time solo. First time that he's come in all by himself. It's Tim Swaddling here in the studio. Tim is a local musician originally from Kingsville, now based out of Windsor. You may know him. You may have heard him play. He's all over the place. Huge Bob Dylan guy, loves the music. He's very folk, bluegrass, blues inspired as well. Tim, welcome to the show. I hope I was able to summarize you somewhat right there.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for playing on the your local music program. You have featured me pretty regularly.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
No problem at all. It's great to do something like that. It's great to have you. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while because I only got to chat with you the very first time you were here with $2 Bill. So I was thinking we got to get this guy back because I learned from that day that you're a musician too and very, very well known in this area. You were telling me even off air that you play all over, but so many people that I've spoke to personally, they know you and they've played with you or they just know of you. They've seen you at a show, whatnot. You're like a very busy, hardworking man right now in the business.
Yeah, I have been in the past. Played with a lot of different people in the past. Lonesome Lefty and Allison Brown, $2 Bill, and in the last few years I've been doing my own stuff. Mm-hmm. I put out my record Manifests and trying to maintain a band, and also I still work at the university at the University of Windsor. So it's always something going on.
Yeah, always. Let's start right from the beginning. Growing up, the music that you were raised on, what was that looking like?
It was a lot of everything. I grew up in the 80s, and the 80s for me were kind of like the 50s because my dad was a bass player, and my grandmother was a guitar player, and she started playing guitar in the 30s.
Wow.
And played a lot of bluegrass, old-time fiddle music, country music, and a little bit of folk music as well. My dad played bass in like 8 different bands. His primary band was like an oldies wedding band, which at the time was, the 80s. Oldies is like pre-Beatles rock and roll. You know? So there's like Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
they would do like contemporary songs, which at the time were, Huey Lewis and the News and ZZ Top and stuff like that as well. I grew up listening to a lot of pre-Beatles, early rock and roll, pop, big band jazz, blues, bluegrass, R&B, country music, folk music, and then in the 90s for me, I really got into like the 60s stuff on my own, like the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and, the Doors and all that kind of stuff. And Bob Dylan, of course, as well, eventually. And, as well as I also love Nirvana, but I mean, I've always kind of been out of time with my times as I'm alive, which is
interesting. Why do you think that is?
Just because growing up, my grandma used to have this farm, Happy Acres. Her name was Leah Swaddling. I'm sure there's people still out there that knew her. She used to write the column "Social by Leah" in Kingsville Reporter. And she had bluegrass festivals at the farm every summer, and so I grew up hearing all kinds of that music and experiencing that. Lonesome Lefty once asked me, like, when was the first time you ever heard Bill Monroe? And I was like, I can't remember because I've always grown up around. I'm really, really lucky to have grown up around that. And there's a very vibrant, still is, that's carried on legacy. Like you've talked to Lauren Victoria here.
Yeah.
Her grandfather played with my grandmother on occasion.
Small world. Wow.
It is, yeah. It's a small community, but like the music traditions of this area are pretty rich. My grandmother got into all that music by the radio. Back then you could get like the Grand Ole Opry and all the border radio blasters out of the border radio in Mexico to hear the Carter family. And she was an immigrant from Belgium and living in Leamington, and wanted to make friends, and everybody loved this old-time music that was on the radio, Carter family, Jimmy Rogers, and things like that. So she convinced her dad in the middle of the Depression, 1932, to buy her a guitar, which was a pretty expensive purchase. But he had an ulterior motive. There was a fiddle player, a little boy that played fiddle across the street. Jack Sumner was his name. And she learned to play the guitar, and they had family, 8 kids, huge family, would take a wagon out for their shop, the Vic's Confectionery. It's like a general store on Weigel Street, and sell grain, butter and stuff, and having them play on the wagon. So it just drum up more business. So it was a bit of a business investment originally, but the music tradition in my family, from my grandmother to my dad, Bob Swaddling, carried on, and I'm proud to carry on that tradition today.
Huge. Your grandmother and your father's influence.
Yeah. I still play. I have my grandmother's 1932 Hensel parlor guitar that she learned to play on and played until the 80s, and then she got like a different guitar. But she played for years and years and years, and I had it restored by Dave Radlin at Radlin Guitars. He's a master at guitar repairs. Mm-hmm. And he's pointed out to me, he's like, oh, on the fretboard, there's all these divots, where the open chord positions are. I can fix that for you. And I was like, don't do that, because my grandmother was a woman playing guitar, pioneer locally. She has long fingernails, so everywhere there's an open chord like D or G or E, there's the indents from years and years and years of her pressing on those chords into the wood. So I maintained that's her. That's the dues.
That guitar's been on a journey, right?
Yeah.
Now you have it. So you want to keep the past right there that's on it, and then you're going to create your own future with it.
Yeah. And I keep it at home. I don't really gig with it because it's too precious. But,
okay, that's fair enough.
But I write on it. So I think I wrote Real Gone on it. So you guys have been playing that song?
Yes, we have. Absolutely, we have. That's a great song. Love the fiddles at the beginning. Love your voice in the song too.
Thank you.
Who's we're going a little out of order here with that, but that's all right. With Real Gone, who is everybody on that song? Because it's wonderful. And where was that produced at?
Well, we recorded the whole album. Mike Beauchamp was the producer. He's since moved to Quebec, but we recorded it at the Bell River. It used to be, what we figure at least it was, this Canadian Pacific Railroad freight shed, which for the longest time was an antique store as well. But it's like 1890s wood inside. It was all original, and it was a large room, and it happened to be empty at the time. And we recorded live off the floor, which is something... Yeah, you don't get to do. It's usually when you record these days, it's track by track. So you record a guitar part, then you record your vocal or bass part or something. So to have the band all in one room to do that, that's the old way of doing it, and you get kind of an energy that way that you don't get doing track by track, and an atmosphere. And on the record, Real Gone is Alison Corbett playing fiddle. Grady Kaplan playing guitar. I'm on guitar. Bass player on that is Andrew Eckhart.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, and I had several different musicians because I didn't really have a band at that time. So there's on the record, there's 3 different drummers. Mike Beauchamp plays on 3 songs. He was also the producer. Phil Charette from Kingsville plays on 1 song, and Aaron Stanton plays on 3 songs. There's several different, different bass players and things, but Alison Corbett played on every song but 1, and Grady Kaplan played on every song. Okay. Aside from me, those are the 2 musicians that were constant in that. Alison, we just did a benefit for her. She was, you talked to Tracy Ayton.
Yes.
Alison has breast cancer, and we did a fundraiser for her in Windsor recently called All In for Alison, and we're going to be doing that show by tentatively, it sounds like July in Amherstburg. So there's going to be a local version of that with it'll be a great show with different types of music. I play in the 1920s jazz band with Tracy, Matt Kolbacki, and the great Ray Manzarel on sax, doing 20s tunes called the Cedar Island Quartet. And then we'll probably have all kinds of guests like Lauren Victoria playing her fiddle, and Lonesome Lefty, and all kinds of great local talent.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
Well, hopefully we'll have that organized soon, and then that'll be up and going, ready to go, and we'll come in here and talk about it.
Yeah. Once again, yeah. Do you mind if we go to a break here? But do you mind if we play your song first, "Real Gone"?
Sure, yeah,
that's all right.
We've just been talking about that.
I figured it's a little easier that way.
It's got some hot fiddle on it.
I just want to ask you before we go to that break, what was going on in your life at that time? Like, what is that song about? Where did you look around for inspiration with that song?
That's like this. That's an earlier song. Like I came into making that record with only 2 songs, because I hadn't really tried to write songs. I only started singing on my own in 2017, and just because Lefty at the time wasn't playing a lot, so I wasn't playing as a result. And I thought, if I want to keep this going, I got to start doing this myself. And I used to be very cripplingly shy. I would support somebody who did the show, and be in the background playing bass or playing rhythm guitar or something. And I just decided, like, I got to do this. I got to stand on my own. And I started singing. I do monthly gigs at Tallulah. And then I just started, I had a couple songs that I had written, the C&O Don't Stop Here Anymore and Real Gone. I just wrote down, like, on Post-it notes, I believe, at the girl I was dating at the time. It's a little bit about things ending with her. And it just sort of came out, and it was like I was trying the music part of it came. On the record. It's an open tuning, which is a blues thing. And at the time, I was trying to learn a blues tune. It was like Skip James or Bucko White or something like that. And I was trying to figure out what they were doing, and I'm like, well, this is not what they're doing, but it sounds good. So it has like a blues thing, but it's bluegrass, which bluegrass is, as Bill Monroe used to say, you can't play bluegrass. That's why we call it blues grass, because you got to have the blues in it somewhere. So it was. It just came about that way, and it was one of the 2 earlier tunes that I started writing all kinds of other songs for the record, but that one was that already existed by the time I started recording. So. Well, it's an early one.
It's a phenomenal song. It sounds great, and that's it's been, like you said, heavy on rotation. I think we might like it a lot here.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to take a little break and let all you listeners out there enjoy Tim Swaddling, "Real Gone." Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Music Monday here on 107.9 FM. I'm your host, Spencer Duby, and that was Tim Swaddling, my guest. You just heard him play "Real Gone." It was phenomenal, as always. You've probably heard it play a few times so far on the local music hour every Sunday, 12 till 1. It's such a unique song. You don't hear these folk bluegrass musicians too much on radio that are from this area, and Tim's a really unique one, because I just found that out. If you didn't catch that part of the interview before we went to a break, he 8 years ago started singing.
I never really even sang to myself, but it's part of the deal of, like, if you're gonna do this, I gotta just start doing it. And I just started booking myself at Tallulah Cafe in Windsor when they used to do like an hour of music on Saturdays. And determined to just find a way to do it. Sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it isn't. And you gotta learn how to fail in order to succeed sometimes. So I just started booking myself there every month, and make sure that I was preparing and challenging myself to do something new, try it and expand what I was capable of doing. And I did it. And then through that, also, I played all kinds of different music at every show. Was folk, bluegrass, pop standards, old jazz, a wide variety of material and different types of material, and which informs me as a writer now. So I greatly benefited from that, and then ended up making I wanted to make a record, and Mike Beauchamp gave me the opportunity. He heard a demo of one of my songs almost by accident and just said, let's make a record. Let's do it live off the floor the old time way. And it all kind of came together, and I'm proud of that record. Mm-hmm. And then since then, I've been working on other stuff, and I have like an actual band that I maintain. We've played Fog downtown Windsor every few months. It seems like Grady Kaplan was playing guitar for me for a while. He's kind of sustained a finger injury years ago, and he got it back, but then playing lead guitar is pretty strenuous on his hands, so he's not going to be on the next gig. But the Scott Fargo from Detroit plays drums for me, and Bebop and Billy B. McKenzie from Leamington, the original hit man, playing bass. Local legend of sorts. He plays bluegrass and blues and all kinds of stuff, and has done since the 80s in Essex County, Windsor, Essex region. So and then on guitar for this upcoming gig, I think it'll be Charlie Lambert, who's also a guy who's worked closely with Jody Raffoul in the past.
Oh, very nice.
Currently also with the Hitmen. Tours around with Queen tribute band, Simply Queen these days.
Oh, yes.
So, he's good, and he can do the Brian May stuff.
Yeah. Especially just matching Brian May's tone alone should tell you that you're a good guitarist. Then if you can play it on top of that. Whew.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff there.
Yeah.
So, that's... and I'm still recording. I'm recording in Detroit now, off and on when I can. And it's coming along. We made some good progress in the last year on the next record. So hopefully, maybe, knock on wood, the end of this year I might have maybe another record out.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's something to watch for. This is exciting. Did not know that.
I don't want to make any commitments, but, Murphy's Law will step in and correct me. But, it's I'm making progress. The songs I played live, the new material, and it's gone over really well, and it's kind of built for a live environment, and it's a lot more electric. There's some acoustic songs on there.
It's like when Dylan went electric a little more.
A little bit. Yeah, there's some electric songs on Manifest, like Time to Go and stuff like that. Well, Kelly Hoppy, by the way, is playing harmonica on Real Gone, and on several other songs on the record, like Time to Go.
Nice.
Who is a phenomenal musician from Big Sugar. Mr. Chill and the Witnesses was a thing in the Windsor Essex region back in the 2000s, and of course Kelly plays with like all kinds of other Ron Leary as another one. And you guys have talked with Ron.
Oh yeah. Really fast. I just want to go back and ask you, Tim, what led all roads to where you are now? How did you get to where you are now? What was your introduction into the performing part of music?
Well, I like I said, my family was musical with my dad, and I learned a bit of bass and enough to be a capable bass player.
Stand up or just?
I can play stand up, but mostly electric bass. Yeah.
Okay.
My dad played both upright and electric bass in different bands because he was a bass player in the 80s and 90s in this region, and he was in demand. He can pick and choose what he wanted to do, and played like all kinds of different types of music. Which
he was good. He
was very good. Played in like an oldies band. He played in a blues band, a country band, folk band, bluegrass, all kinds. So, and then my grandmother playing the old time stuff, and loved old country, old bluegrass, and things like that. So exposed me to a lot of that. So I had a vast and really fortunate to have like a kind of second generation at a time when everyone else was getting a third or fourth generation introduction to all the roots, what we call roots music today. So by the 2000s, I was playing guitar, but I wasn't playing gigs or anything like that. And then when I met Lonesome Lefty, saw him play and was really impressed by him. And later on became like his right-hand man, to no pun intended, Lonesome Lefty right hand. But I played bass and accompanying him on guitar for his fiddle music and stuff like that. And just learned a lot from him about how to present yourself, how to put on a show, how to sequence a show, a set list, interaction with a crowd. And he's like an encyclopedia of old music, old country music, old Canadian fiddle music, which is different from American, and specifically like regional, like Ward Allen, Ontario fiddle player, which like opened my eyes to a lot of Canadian music history that is all but vanished, that was like destroyed by like rock and roll really in the 60s and 70s. We had our own regional fiddle style, like a distinctive way of playing that was influenced by the, like Ontario being like I said, my grandmother was listening to Nashville on the radio, but you're also listening to Detroit. You're also listening to Canadian stations who were relaying, like stuff from the East Coast. So like the fiddle style around here was like a blend of the drawled out Southern American fiddle styles and then the more ornate Celtic styles of like the East Coast. And Quebec as well has their own style. And that's kind of been lost. You'd have to get Lefty in here sometime to interview him.
Lonesome Lefty,
Lonesome Lefty, yeah.
I did not know about this at all, that this area was even huge at one point with, fiddle music and distinct styles where it was influenced from.
That and, I mean, we're also like next door to Detroit.
Yes.
And which greatly influenced this area. It's like my dad growing up also hearing, like, you have an 50-50 split on the radio in the 60s and 70s of R&B and rock and roll. There was really no difference between the two, whereas like if you go in other places in Canada or even the United States, that distinction is very clear on racial terms. But we were very fortunate to just grow up around here with a lot of soul, R&B. Like I grew up listening to the Temptations and the Four Tops.
Same. My dad
Gaye,
raised me on some Motown. My dad loves Motown, so we're very fortunate. Obviously, me and your dad come from around the same era. Growing up, that stuff was big, living in this area.
Yeah.
So passed on.
My dad would study Motown records for the bass playing of James Jamerson.
Unbelievable bass player.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So he would always teach me as a little boy, like to pick out the bass part, like, in the Stevie Wonder song, it's like, listen to what he does here, listen to what he does on this, Bernadette or, all those classic Motown sides. And so I learned to like pick apart how to listen to arrangements and stuff like that. So yeah, I got to play with Lefty for ages, and like I said, then during the 2010s, Lefty's gigging became less frequent. He was off doing other things, and I just decided I want to keep this going. I moved back to Windsor. If I want to keep this going, I got to do it. And
taking your own path.
Yeah, I gotta. I wasn't a singer. I had never sang in public. I barely even sang to myself. But, I just decided I'm going to do it. And what's always find it funny now that people come to me and say, like I try to pride myself on being a songwriter, I guess. But people are like, the first thing they talk about me is that they like my voice.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like I said, I never sang.
Tim, as we wrap this up, I'm really looking forward to the future with your musical career. I'm really hoping you are able to put out an album this year. I think that would be awesome because there's everything you've put out so far has been phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to where you're going now. Are you sticking down the same principles, or are you going out of your comfort zone a little bit, trying something new?
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's always you got to keep challenging yourself as an artist. So.
I love it. And that's something that you've obviously done.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds even longer than 8 years, but
yeah.
you're always challenging yourself, which is great.
I'm a musician longer and a singer for a shorter amount of time, but it's been great to be here. I should mention that like Marty, the founder of the station, Marty Adler, was a friend of mine, not a close friend, but someone I got to know recently towards the end of his life, and really enjoyed his phone calls, where like his history in radio in this in Southern Ontario is something of legend, and he's created something really great here. This really adds to our community as well. This station, having someone like me or Alison Brown or Lauren Victoria and all these, supporting the local music scene, like what Sean's doing. We really appreciate that, and it's a unique spot. So I'm really fortunate to be here, and having $2 Bill on here when he loved this station. So
well, thank you for the kind words. Really do appreciate it. I think that summarizes Marty up right there. He's a friend to everybody. It's pretty easy to talk to, and he'd go out of his way.
Those phone conversations were epic, and I loved every bit of it because I love all that old music history. And he had a storied career in radio. So
did he ever?
Yeah.
And now you're creating a storied career so far in the music world with bluegrass, blues, folk. Really excited, as I said, to see what lies ahead in the future for you. Hopefully an album this year, if not, hopefully early next year.
Well, hopefully have something, at least maybe a song later this year in advance of the record. So we'll see.
Wonderful. Tim, thank you so much for coming in. And, me and all the listeners get to learn a little bit about you and, your musical background, what you've done so far, and what lies ahead. Wish you the best of luck. And look forward to when you're going to be back with that new album.
Yeah.
And maybe even in July there for that as well.
For the charity fundraiser for Alison Corbett. Let's we'll hope that's going to come together real soon, and we'll have some concrete details for you.
Wonderful. Well, that has been Tim Swaddling here on 107.9 FM for Music Monday. I'm Spencer Duby. Hope you enjoyed this interview. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.